Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of GOM Learns GAC, episode 10. FOTP, are you with me? So tonight, 5/24/22, we're going to be talking about the FOTP Omicron. It was the newest addition to my roster. We did it last night on the stream. Got a lot of good input. We're going to show some videos at the end of what it can beat and what you can expect. We're going to talk about the pros, cons, and all sorts of stuff. But first, very, very fun activity I always enjoy doing is building these Omicron tier lists with the community, right? I really enjoy doing this with you guys. Thank you to all that participated last night and put in their input. It took us about 20, 30 minutes. We had a nice base kind of for it, but we made some changes, and I really like this list. I feel like this is a good, if not the best list in all of the holo tables. So first and foremost, Star Killer, right? Before threes came back, everyone was kind of concerned what they were doing with Star Killer. That did not disappoint. He is the currently pre-Malgus. I think it's kind of the undisputed champion of the Omicron Mountaintop for GAC. The unique is very, very good. And so good that we countered that Omicron hopefully with our FOTP Omicron. So we'll see. Wampa, number 2. Don't have it, but there was no argument, and I have no argument myself to say that it is not currently the second best Omicron for 3 versus 3. Right? 5s, it's very good as well. With 3s, there's always going to be something on the board you can Wampa. I've yet to encounter an opponent that has, maybe it's because I don't have Wampa, but I've yet to see an opponent that didn't place at least one team on defense that couldn't be Wampa'd. Qui-Gon Jinn, this is something we voted on last second. Qui-Gon Jinn still retains the number 3 spot. Holding strong, old trusty holding strong. And you guys know what it does. It's very, very good. Very, very good. 3s especially. 3s, defensively, it's causing some people some problems. So I feel like on 3s, it's a little better defensively than on 5s, right? Because you can't get all the bad batch out, and you don't have as many foresights to dispel to fuel the turn meter your bad batch needs. You can be beaten with bad batch, but you need a pretty good one and a little bit of luck on your side. So Qui-Gon Jinn holding down the 3rd spot. FOTP debuting on the list at number 4. And this is a good discussion, and as we kept discussing it, I tried to put my, first order homerness aside and let people discuss it. And it started at 5. It's moved up to 4. It actually bumped Iden Versio down to number 5. So Iden Versio, very, very good in 3s as well. I was a little concerned that the team wouldn't have enough pop, but at the very least, Iden the Stormtrooper is a real pain for the opposition to take out. So with only 3 characters. So Versio is still top 5, rounding out the top 5. 6, Tusken Raider, right? We had some good players last night really coming to bat for Tusken Raider. We've only fought 1, and the only knock I have on it, and the reason it's not maybe in the top 5, is it's very vulnerable to sort of annihilate, kind of Mando, Bam, Nihilus sort of insta-kill abilities. And there's only 3 Tuskens, right? There's really not much you can do to block certain counters with it. Like, you don't have options to make it harder, really, with the exception of mods, obviously. But anyways, Tusken Raider number 6, Clash Rendar coming in at number 7. It's funny, I forget the character's name is Dash anymore, to be honest. I forget it's Dash. But Clash Rendar coming in at number 7. I know a lot of people are really for Clash, but overall, it's kind of lukewarm on its usefulness for the masses. If you don't have the R7, plus sort of scoundrel units to back him up, he's not quite as sexy as some of his other ones. Zam falling all the way to number 8. So in 3s, she's not proving to be that useful for me. She's really good at making your bounty hunters beat teams, but she's beating teams that you probably have another answer for. It's not like in 5s where Zam is contributing to the defeat of GLs, right? So it's not quite as sassy in 5s or 3s as it is in 5s, and perhaps she might get bumped back up to 7. So again, if you guys have any comments, disagree, want to make a case for one of your favorite Omicrons that you have, especially if you guys have the Rose, the Chirpas, the Critics, all these ones down here that not a lot of people have yet, please post that in the comments. Director Critics, very, very strong in 9. And actually, Van Seal, I believe he just put out a video. I think it came out today or yesterday, talking about that Krennic Omicron and how powerful it is. I think Krennic is really good in threes, especially if you don't have Versio. Maybe you don't even have Versio at all. Maybe you don't have her 7-star. You could actually use your Death Trooper with Krennic, and it's pretty bad, pretty awesome. Then we got Admiral Akbar rounding out the top 10, and he fell a good bit. For those of you guys who watched the last one of these, he was we kind of pre-ranked him a little high, so he's fallen. And you got the 2 Star Killer uniques. I found out firsthand how important this Force Repulse is here. Getting rid of the crit immunity if you want to use your Star Killer against certain raid comps, you have to get rid of that crit immunity to kind of succeed. That's a mistake I made by hitting the wrong ability, and that reminded me of how useful that Omicron is. I think over time, Star Killer teams are going to be around for a long time, and we're going to keep getting teams, and it is going to start pushing the Dash Rendars down, the Akbars down, kind of into obscurity, right? But Star Killer, same with Malgus. It's expensive, 3 Omicrons, and they might not look like they're that useful, but it's a team that's going to be around for many, many years, right? Darth Revan's still around. We use them every day. Gas is still around. Star Killer is going to be one of those caliber teams that's going to be viable for many, many moons. So it could potentially be worth the 3 Omicron investment for a team you're going to have for a long time. So it's something to consider. Chief Chirper, Rose Tico, Darth Talon, and Princess Leia rounding out the bottom 4. Poor Darth Talon falls so far in terms of threes. She is just not very useful in threes. Again, if you guys have been using Darth Talon's Omicron to, some degree of success, please post it in the comments. Message me on Discord, let me know, because I want to get this as accurate as possible. This isn't just my opinion. This is everybody's opinion. And I feel like you guys did a good job of helping organize this last night. So thank you again for that. But the main topic of the night, we're going to skip all the other slides. Right, we're going to skip them all. We're going to go right into it. So this is, indeed, my 5th Omicron. For those of you guys that watch the stream, you guys probably know that I am perhaps a little too stubborn when it comes to putting Omicrons on GAC characters. I'm a little too thrifty, perhaps. It is a game. You're supposed to have fun with the game, and these Omicrons are fun. So I finally put my 5th one on. Got 2 on Star Killer, 1 on Zam, 1 on Versio, and now FOTP is my 5th. And I'm pretty pleased. I'm pretty excited about it. So basically what the Omicron does is a list here. This is a huge list of what it does. The foresight chance goes to 100%. And as you can see here towards the bottom, if he gets foresight, the whole team gets foresight. 50% max health for allies, which is very, very juicy for the faction, right? The 50% health is very, very juicy when it comes to crew and Fox especially, right? Those 2 units especially benefit from the health pool tremendously. So that's something to consider when you're deciding on your next Omicron. That's a pretty big boost for especially those 2 characters. Those 2 characters alone, that's a huge boost. So allies with advantage gain 50% crit damage and 100%. And as we'll discuss towards the end, 2 of your 3 leadership options instantly give your team advantage to start the battle. So it's essentially, this Omicron gives your team, with those 2 leads, if you want to use crew lead, then not so much. But if you want to use Phasma or Hux lead, you basically give your team 50% crit damage and 100% speed. 50% crit damage on FOTP and on Tampon Trooper especially is disgusting. So it's pretty nasty. And 100% nasty if starting without advantage. That's gonna be your crew leads, right? So I don't see myself using crew leads yet, but doesn't mean I won't one day. Crew lead, I say that here. So when an ally loses advantage, they recover 20% health protection. So if you go back to the crew lead, and we'll go deeper into this later, but you got 2 forms of regeneration now if you do want to use a crew lead. So you got crew's leadership, and then also they recover 20% health protection, because that's the biggest knock. If you guys watch the GAC streams, you guys know I love to use Hux lead. And Hux lead, it's damn near impossible to get out of there with any protection banners. Maybe on FOTP, if he has foresight, pre-Omicron, you might be able to sneak out of there with him having full protection. But for the most part, it's going to be a 60 or a 54 banner win. So that kind of improves on the one glaring weakness the non-Supreme Leader Kylo Ren faction or the teams had. So when FOT gains foresight, everybody gains foresight, and that's a lot of foresight, right? And then gains advantage when gaining turn meter. So again, that's going to apply to all sorts of elements. The First Order have lots of turn meter mechanics. OG Kylo's AoE, First Order Stormtroopers taunts. You've got Fox, who just gives everybody turn meter if he crits. Again, lots of advantage going around, lots of crits, lots of turn meter. You've got first order officer, all sorts of elements of turn meter in the kits of these characters. So very, very cool. Cruise lead, right? Cruise lead gives a lot of turn meter. So that's that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to talk about why it might not be for you, right? We're going to talk about the cons first to maybe give this a little bit of a flow here. If you don't have a really well-modded Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, this may not be for you, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want to start, you could use Supreme Leader Kylo Ren to beat Kenobi, and you could use him to beat Lord Vader. And both of those counters, neither one of them include any First Order characters at all, right? So you maybe can throw in First Order Stormtrooper as a fifth against some sort of Lord Vader comp with your Night Sisters if you want. But for the most part, if you want to beat the two newest GLs, right, I guess you could, for lack of a better term, best defensive GLs, you don't need the First Order at all. So, but if you don't have a very good Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, then you are going to need some First Order backup to really get some sort of use out of him. Defensively, obviously the First Order is good. If you're married to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren on defense, then this might not be for you either. So it's unproven in fives, right? We can all speculate. We can speculate till the cows come home, but it doesn't mean that we're going to be right? So we're seeing the results in threes. He looks awesome in threes, and that should translate to fives for the most part in the same fashion. Should technically be able to beat all the same teams it does now, if not a little more powerful, right? Because right now you can only use a leader and two attackers, basically. It's First Order TIE Pilot, Tampon Trooper, and your lead of choice, right? Is pretty much the team that most people are using to beat stuff. But then you start adding in Fox. You can add in Crew. You can add in First Order Stormtrooper. You can add in Phasma as well. Special Forces TIE Pilot is also good. Lots of forms of defense down. So, it's something to consider, but it's unproven, right? So we don't know how well it will perform in fives. If it could potentially be a GL in fives, I don't know. Well, again, we'll have to see. So if you're unsure about that, if that's a big con for you, you don't have to wait very long. Relic boosts are going to be needed for the maximum results, right? The videos we're going to show tonight do showcase kind of R5 bare minimum Kylo Ren requirement characters, but if you're gonna these slideshows are the whole premise of them is to get your booty in the top 100, what you need for the top 50, top 100 sort of players, like the highest caliber players in the game. You are not going to beat consistently the best teams with an R5 supporting cast. You're gonna want to go all in on these characters, FOTP and Tampon especially, right? You want to take those to R7, if not R8. That's going to be the bulk of your damage. Fox is another character you might want to consider taking to R7, maybe R8, to kind of, again, capitalize on all that max health benefit he gets. He just turned him into a giant tank, essentially, with those health boosts that do provide offense with the health. And then also Crew. He's required R7 for Kylo, but you might want to consider taking him to R8. He's a very popular R9 for some of the characters that have the luxury of having, a dozen plus R9s now. Crew is a very popular choice for like top 10 in people's, kind of R9 list. And again, he's gonna get a ton of health. Capitalize on that 50% max health the Omicron gives. Just make him a real pain in the ass to get through because you hit him, you crit him, whatever the case is. You're regenerating health, being tanky, getting health back from FOTP now. So it's just like all sorts of stuff that you want to capitalize on. If you're going to invest one of these Omicrons to get the most out of it, I really advise going pretty heavy on the characters. So that could be a turnoff. Maybe you're saving for Malgus. Maybe you're saving for Grand Inquisitors. Maybe you have some other passion projects you're working on and don't have the relics for these characters. That's something to consider. It's demanding on mods, right? We talk about mods all the time on the channel, the importance of the offense percentage secondaries, health percentage secondaries, being very wise with your decision making when it comes to mods. And those of you that do that are gonna get a lot more benefit out of this because of all the boosting to the health. We'll get to the leads in a minute, but there's all sorts of damage boost, crit damage boost, health boost, all sorts of kind of stacking elements to these kits. And the better mods you have, the more you're gonna get out of it. Because what you don't want, you don't want to go all in on this character and then realize you can only get your R8 FOTP up to 8,500 physical damage. That's not going to get you where you want to be. So you want to make sure that you have the mods for this team, that you have mods to commit to these characters. It's a big stable of characters, especially when we get to fives. You might need one character for one instance, but sub in two different ones for this one. Maybe you need Phasma lead for that. Gas, for instance, I don't think Hux will do very good against Gas. Maybe I'm wrong. Phasma would probably be better because you can't crit them. So you got three different leads to play with, all sorts of characters. You probably want to have, for the most part, all those characters ready to go and kind of modded to flow, kind of interchangeable. So defense-wise, at least in threes, we haven't seen in fives, but in threes, this is I took Ray against it the other day, but after looking and doing a little research, it's very vulnerable to Nest solos, Malik solos, and Wampa solos. Again, depending on the comp, all three of those characters can solo a lot of these teams in threes. So do keep that in mind if you face one. If Phasma lead especially, Nest seems to take that one out. Malik is more so tuned towards the Hux lead, right? Hux lead is Malik's been taking that down pretty handily. And Wampa solos, it's varies by comp, right? There's not much data, and you can't always tell on SWGOH if these characters even have Omicrons, but that could be a possibility for those of you with a pretty decked out Wampa. You're probably going to want a very, very healthy Wampa for this because he's got to sustain that opening barrage. So if he can sustain that, I think you got yourself a winner. So this is why these are the cons, right? These are the cons. So let's go to the pros. Okay, so why is it good? It utilizes the cast of required units, right? You need all the first order units to get Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and this is a gift to you. Now, we talked about just relicking them up. If you don't want to relic them up, if you want to use them for R5, there should be plenty of teams that you should be able to beat consistently that you might be having problems with. In threes, right? In threes, we have SK, Starkiller, and that's the video we have. We have a video against DR. It's not the best DR comp, but I was just trying to look for different sort of stuff that we could beat with it. And Gas. Again, you're probably going to want the Phasma lead for Gas to prevent the crits. That's something, hopefully, we get an opportunity to test the next round. But all three of these teams, for me personally, and why I decided to pull the trigger is all three of those teams for me currently, if I don't want to two-shot them, for the most part, maybe I could throw a Hail Mary with like Bam, Han, and Chewie on Gas. But I'm fighting R9 gases now, and that team doesn't quite cut it anymore. So all three of those teams for me, if I want to one-shot it for high banners, are pretty much drawing a GL, right? So I have to keep a GL just in case I encounter maybe a combination of these three teams. I'm going to need an extra GL. So this will really ease the burden on some of my defense. I should be able to place an extra GL consistently on defense now, which is good for me. So, and like I mentioned in the previous slide, SOKR doesn't need the supporting cast anyhow. That's personally for my roster, it works great. You guys have seen me pull it off all the time on the stream. We beat Kenobi with Kylo, we beat Vader with Kylo. We don't ever use any first order characters, so I've got a whole stable of first order characters just kind of hanging out, using Hux to beat stuff, having fun with it, but for 60 banners and 5. So that's something I'm pretty excited to see what we can pull off with it. And again, we mentioned the mods. This is just kind of reiterating that those of you guys that have really been picky with your mods, really chasing the offense percentage, health percentage, just good mods. You don't need too much speed for the whole team, but a little speed's good, obviously. Speed is king. But for those of you guys that are really paying attention to your secondary mods, you're going to get a lot out of this Omicron. And it affects the ship, right? It affects the ship. There's some confusion with this. And if you guys have an R9 FOTP fully maxed out, please let me know if the Omicron adds as well, because there's some confusion. I did the interview with CG for the Resistance Bomber, and they led us to believe that the 9th tier of abilities don't affect the ships, but we just put it on last night on an R7 character, and it definitely affected the ship. So that one that's got an asterisk there. It's something we might need a little more research on. I don't know anybody that's really put an Omicron on like an R9 Rose, an R9 FOTP, things like that. So I don't know if there's like a hard cap. That I don't know. So that's something we'll find out. That's something to consider. And then 3 leads to choose from, which is makes them very, very flexible. And all the leads do something completely different, which is a lot of fun. Right? So, and the leads, of course, here are Phasma, and this is going to be one of the two that starts with advantage. So what happens when you have advantage is for Phasma, you can't be crit, right? You can't be crit, and so it's pretty important if you wanted to maybe try a gas. And also, if you start with advantage, that's going to instantly give you 50% crit damage and the 100 speed from the FOTP Omicron, right? So instantly out of the gate, your characters basically have 100 speed. So is an Omicron worth 50% crit damage and 100 speed? You can make a case that that would be worth it alone, right? So and FOTP comes with so much more. Calls assists, right? I think, and I note here, better suited for threes, much like the Akbar Omicron. You can consistently rely on one or two. You got 50% chance the character you want to assist is going to assist. You got fives, maybe not so much. Maybe you get like crew to assist or like first order officer. Not really the the ideal person to assist, but you do get assists there. And her kit does come with defense down, speed down, and turn meter gain. And remember, if you do gain turn meter, that's going to give FOTP advantage, right? So constant forms of advantage. So good benefits there. I personally like the Hux one, or at least I'm going to try the Hux one. I did a lot of kind of investigating. I talked to Tilo Mad, I talked to Aldous. Both of them kind of mentioned they mentioned Phasma and talked about Phasma much more than they talked about Hux. So I think Phasma is an interesting option. I think Phasma is probably going to be the better option for those of you that maybe don't have the speed needed for Hux or maybe a faster team. I think Phasma, if you guys don't really have too many speed mods to commit, would be the better option for you because you would fade a lot of the crit hits and get a little more survivability than you would potentially with Hux. So I think for those of you guys that have the mods to give the team, Hux might be better. If you guys maybe are a little light in the secondaries or just want to put your mods elsewhere and still have a competitive team, I think Phasma might be the better option for you. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do with this. I think somebody last night in the stream said there's already more FOTP Omicrons and a lot of the other ones that have been out for a while. So we're going to get just a barrage of videos and theory crafting and stuff coming out this week. So I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. Hux, obviously, this second one, the team starts with advantage. Prevents turn meter gain and counters, which is pretty cool, right? But so you've got Hux, you've got First Order TIE Pilot, you've got First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot, you got First Order Officer. Some of the characters in this faction, even Tampon Trooper, if you don't mod them right, like they're relatively squishy. So avoiding the counters is pretty good. So, and then provides now this here is why I kept mentioning the mods. Hux lead is going to give 50% more damage to basic attacks, right? And you're going to pair that with the 50% crit damage from FOTP's unique, and then it's also going to give an additional 50% crit damage and 100% counter chance. So if somebody were to attack my character, and let's say FOTP is going to counter, he's going to be countering with 50% more damage because it is a basic on a counter. He's going to get 100% crit damage, right, from both the unique and the lead. So this is why you really need the offense percentages, even the flat offense, double offense preferably. Bring all the offense you want, and you will hit very, very, very hard. And then, of course, the mass assist. It even provides 25% even more damage, which is an insane amount of damage coming out of these characters. That's why you want to relic them. That's why you want to commit your good secondary stats to these guys. Because you're talking about eliminating a character, especially in fives. If you're bringing in, FOTP, Tampon Trooper, and Fox, you're more than likely going to waste a character. So that's going to be pretty cool just to see people just shotgun a character down on the first move. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Crew. Now, Crew is the one no one has really talked about much, and I don't necessarily think he's the inferior option. I just think he's going to be different. I think if you really do want to put this team on defense, Crew lead could potentially be a better one just because he's going to be a pain. He's going to have that 50% health from FOTP. He's going to, just health regeneration out of the gate. He himself is going to give an additional 40% crit damage and 30 speed. So basically you're losing 70 speed, which is a lot. So, but you are getting the crit damage. You are getting the turn meter gain from critical hits. And there's so much advantage going around. Be a lot of critical hits. And all of these leads, guys, don't forget about the foresight. You're going to get a lot of foresight. A lot of foresight from this. And you've got targetable moves like First Order Officer, First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot that can assure the FOTP kind of keeps that foresight going. There's ways to generate foresight for your team with the creative uses of some of these other characters. So I'm pretty I'm pretty pumped again. And this is why defensively this could be a real pain, because crews lead every time they get a status effect. Again, lots of foresight, lots of advantage, right? Even if they have advantage, if they reapply advantage back on top, I'm don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure the effects like advantage kind of reapply themselves, and that will give 5% health and protection regeneration on top of the regeneration elements of the FOTP Omicron. So there's lots of regeneration elements on here. Even offensively, let's say you get to the back wall and maybe they cheese you and there's not much there. A crew lead with FOTP, you could probably 3-4 man some stuff in fives for really good banners, max banners, right? So that's something to consider as well. You know, we've all kept some stuff in fear of what's in the back, and then we open it up, and lo and behold, they've got nothing back there. So this is a good way to maybe get a couple extra banners out of the Omicron. So I'm really, really excited about that. So we do have some videos. I'm going to pause, make sure I get this right. Whoops. We'll pause to make sure I get this right here. So let me make sure this pulls up. Okay. We're going to take this down. And we're going to take... and we want to take the blue stacks down. All right, guys. We do have a couple videos here. These are not my videos. This first one is one that's gained a lot of views. I first saw this. Loki shared this video with me. It had like 20 views. We're shooting up into the thousands now. Glenn Garant. I will post both his, Zeta. I'll post both of their channels below in the comments. Do check them out, guys. Do go subscribe. Smaller channels, but you know, if you guys go, because this is super helpful. This is super helpful stuff. You guys go subscribe. I've started on YouTube myself, from scratch with no experience, no nothing, and people start subscribing, you get motivated and keep pumping stuff out. So again, we can see the R5s here on this and R7 Hux, but R5 and FOTP, this will in fact take down the Star Killer. So let's go ahead and have a little look-see at it. So, and again, pop, 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 pop. Now, something interesting, as you can see there, Mara is going to miss. Pop, 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 pop. So, Mara's going to miss on the foresight, meaning she doesn't get any turn meter. And just like that, Starkiller's almost out. Now, there is a couple videos going around. I really appreciate when people do this. It said FOTP fail on Starkiller. And you'll notice in those videos, they go after Mara Jade first, right? Here went after Starkiller, and he's done it twice. He has 2 or 3 examples on his channel now. He goes after Starkiller once and beats it. Now, you can make a case where Hux doesn't have to go before Mara Jade. I am in the camp that you need it. I am in the camp that you want your Hux plus 100 to be faster than Mara plus 70. And we'll show the mods I have on here. You could probably get by, especially with a little bit of relic investment, without Hux maybe beating Mara. But if Hux goes first, especially if you have really well-developed FOTP and Sith Trooper, you call that assist with all those damage boosts talked about on Starkiller, and then as you can see here in the video, he's going to favor the AoE, and then you can counter and have a decent chance to get him really, really low, if not kill him. He will have crit immunity, because keep in mind, guys, you can have advantage, but you're not going to get through crit immunity, and every time an unaligned dark side force user uses a special ability, Mara Jade in this instance has 2 that she's going to fire off back-to-back. That will provide crit immunity to the team. So you want to deal as much damage to Starkiller as you possibly can, and something to consider in terms of modding, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So that's that. And there's several advantages, or several instances of this. Again, guys, Glenn Garant is the channel for this. I will post it in the comments. And then we have one more here we want to show. This one is from actually a viewer on the channel, Zeta. Hopefully he doesn't mind I'm showing it. But this, I'll post his channel as well. This is against a DR team. Now, there's no Malik, but this is just an example of things that it can beat. There aren't too many super sexy videos out there yet, but I imagine there's going to be a lot more in a few days. I just want to show one more example of this. And here you can see you basically just roast this team with the R5s on the pilots or on the troopers, right? The common common vase, if you will. So as you can see, get rid of the stealth on Little Miss Sunshine over there, and you and then you just pop. So so even with R5, it's been doing pretty significant damage. We're seeing a little the double 60Ks there. You got two forms of Dispel and Hux and Sith Trooper here. So it's pretty gnarly stuff, right? Pretty gnarly stuff. And let's real quickly, before we wrap this up, just go check out the mods and talk about a few things to consider when doing this. Okay, so we can take this down, and we want to put this back up, and we want to put this up. I probably should have done a different scene and made like a snazzy transition. We used to have this little Operation Metaverse globe thing. I don't know I can't find it. So, hey, thank you very much for you. Good to see you. First time chat. Good to see you. What's going on? Glenn Coke Hose from Ando's stream chats. Wonder how Bad Batch will do against Crew Lead. Yeah, maybe. Well, we're just speculating here. This is just chitter chatter. We're just speculating, trying to present. We did the same thing for Wampa, and Versio and Qui-Gon. Actually, we could I'm just trying to do the pros and cons. Qui-Gon and Wampa I don't even have, so I've never personally used this one yet. So there's a lot of speculation. Just kind of points to ponder. These are points to ponder. So yeah, we can close this down. That DR one isn't. I might cut that out. That was kind of dumb. I couldn't find one for gas. I know they exist because I've seen them. People have shared them with me, and I can't find them. So I'd really like to have an example of that, right, with the Phasma lead, but I don't. So, all right, guys. So we're gonna take real quickly. We're just gonna take a real quick look at the mods. Now, I mentioned Hux going fast. Again, maybe not necessary. But I want to have, if I'm going to go all in on this investment, I want to make damn sure that I can have a consistent counter to the things I want to counter. And so, again, you want your Hux, in my opinion, you want your Hux plus 100 faster than Mara plus 70. Because if you go first, call that Master System Star Killer, Mara's going to go and whiff, and Star Killer is going to AoE, you're going to counter, you got a shot to kill him, and if not, you can probably kill him with just a basic on the very next turn, right? So, but something to keep in mind. So we have a very, very fast Hux. This is absurdly fast. Probably not realistic for the masses, right? This is really, 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 really fast. But we talked about Phasma maybe being an option for those of you guys that don't have the blistering speed available, and still a very valuable, viable Omicron. So 343 is what we've locked Hux in at. And something to consider, and this is something I changed after last night's stream, is I think a way that people in the future can kind of block this is if they just make a blistering fast EP, right? Because what could happen, you're going to have the foresight, so you're not going to have the tenacity boost. So Mara's going to go clear all the foresights, and then if Palpatine goes second, you're going to be wide open to potentially get stunned, right? Now, if you don't get stunned, you're going to counter and probably kill Palpatine, but you got a chance to get stunned, and then it can just all fall apart, right? Because then Mara's debuffs will start landing, they'll start generating massive amounts of turn meter, and can go down quickly. So something, maybe not this lock, maybe not the next lock, but something to be conscious of is you're probably going to want your FOTP, and you're going to want your supporting cast plus 100 is going to be faster than EP plus 70, which isn't very hard to do. And I'm pretty comfortable with 248 for locking it today. I don't see too many people with like a 280, 290 EP. Very rarely do I see them higher than 270. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable with this. I could be wrong. I haven't scouted my opponent's EPs yet. But that's something to keep in mind. I feel like that's a way to kind of stop this counter from working on SK if it does become widespread. So that's something to kind of be kind of proactive, right? Prepare for what could stop this team and be ahead of the game. So I actually have FOTP going one speed faster than my Sith Trooper. And I've spoken with a couple people, reached out to a buddy today. He actually has the opposite. He has Sith Trooper going before FOTP. Same sort of team comp, same premise. So we're going to compare notes and see which one will be better. I personally think FOTP going before Stormtrooper is a little better because you'll have the option. You could potentially get yourself another foresight up because Mara Jade is going to clear it, and then Starkiller is going to go. If you for some chance get to go before Starkiller, you have an opportunity to get another form of foresight. So protect you for one more round. So that's something to consider. I don't know. But anyways, that's something to keep in mind, guys. Supporting cast probably needs to be faster than EP. So supporting cast plus 100, faster than EP plus 70. That's a tall order for Starkiller, but I think you can slowly get there. But just in terms of mods, they're essentially modded the same way. I do have crit. I don't have enough offense sets for everybody, so I did put crit damage on First Order TIE Pilot. I actually have a speed arrow on him temporarily. I had an offense arrow on him. He's just a little too slow for what we just talked about. So there's a speed arrow there now. You will want an offense arrow. It was like 2 hours before lock. I'd have time to reorganize my entire roster. Crit damage all the way. Offense. Excuse me. Good offense secondary there. Good offense secondary there. Double offense here. We kind of sputtered out in this one on the stream. We really wanted to hit some mods, but this will be a good 7.1 day. This one here, same sort of thing. It just didn't really get too lucky. And then just lots of health, as you can see. Health is the second most important, I think. Good offense here. It's flat health there. And just the best crit damage I really had. And then good, big health on this one. This mod is also one we missed speed on, but that's okay. This is a very tanky mod, and he's going to get 20% of just this health and protection back over the regeneration element. So just very healthy. You want to make him, if you can, I would probably shoot a little closer to 80k on health if you have an R8. R9, I think, could definitely get there. The more health, the better, right? And he actually has a decent, one of them, actually he doesn't. He doesn't have very good health steal at all. So just kidding. But potency is something you could add if you want. It's just for me personally, I'm trying to blitz the team down. I'm not trying to whittle them down with buff immunity and health down. But maybe in fives it'll be a little more useful to put potency on them because you're not gonna be able to just kill a third of the team on the opening turn. So just very very healthy and very very offense oriented. Again, 250 to 270 speed is probably a good range for him. Mine will get there. And then Sith Trooper. I do have offense on him. Keep in mind, I haven't looked at maybe the last 15 or 20 characters, but Sith Trooper has the highest damage modifier on a basic attack in the entire game, like by a long shot he had for a while. Again, I haven't checked the last 15 characters or so that came out. For a non-GL, let's rephrase. For non-GL, his basic modifier, the damage, is ridiculous, right? So offense sets are pretty good on him. Crit damage sets, this is one, I think... The best set is probably determined by your secondaries. I think his is very close. His is very, very close. And him, just same sort of thing. I do have an offense arrow on him because we met the speed on him. So, and he actually has a decent amount of health steal. So the more health on him, the better he will survive. He assists. He counters under Hux. So he'll have a lot of opportunities to get that health back. And FOTP himself will give him some back. So 80k health, very similar to how FOTP is modded, right? Same speed, little higher health because he has, I think, naturally higher health pool. Damage, pushing about 12,000. That is with an offense set. I think FOTP, I think he ended up with about 10.7 on a crit damage set. So you could potentially have them almost modded identically, right? So pretty cool. And you don't need crit chance, right? That's something we haven't mentioned. There's going to be so much advantage. You really don't need crit chance, which is awesome. So I should probably consider getting rid of this set again. Only so much time before the GAC lock. So. And some of the other ones, I haven't really dove into the full faction yet. We did amp up Phasma a little bit. We'll show off the ones I actually modded. We got Phasma here. It took her about 270. Nothing spectacular here. Just kind of useful. Potency, you'll want some potency on her for the speed down and the defense down for her. So you will want potency on that. Fox, health, all the way health. We actually took a few of the mods off. But 87k health here with the 50% with stacking health within his kit. Very, very cool character to consider. Offense obviously is great. Again, no crit chance needed. We'll have lots of advantage. So let's pretty much wrap it up, guys. I want to thank you guys for coming out. Hopefully this helps you make a decision on your next Omicron. I love it. But we did try to cover maybe some of the cons in your roster and maybe why it's not good for you as well, just to try to be a little unbiased. But I think this one is going to be a pretty good investment for the future. And again, let me know anything you guys know about this Omicron, what it beats, what you can't beat, maybe suggestions for modding. If you have concerns about the Omicron list we put together, by all means, please comment in the section below. Always open for discussion. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, guys, we'll be over here on Twitch. You can check the schedule posted on Twitch. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.